my lap one night when my eyes beheld an eerie sight when my monster from his lab began to rise and suddenly, to my surprise, they did the monster mash. It was a graveyard smash. It caught on in a flash. They did the monster mash from my laboratory in the castle east to the master bedroom. It all came from the bullet bones to get choked by electrode. They did the monster mash. It was a graveyard smash. It caught on in a flash. Yes, they did the monster mash. The zombies were having fun. The party had just begun. The guests included Wolfman, Dracula, and his son. The scene was rocking, all digging the sound. The eagle on the stage, backed by his hound. The coffin bangers were about to arrive. The vocal group, the Crypt King of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. La 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 la.
Hey, hello everyone. Happy pre-Halloween. Joe Lewis here from Battle Rankings. I am joined by my lovely and talented producer, Ann. Say hi, Ann.
Hi, Ann.
We have a humdinger of a show coming.
Woohoo!
Yep, it's Halloween.
Yep.
And Masters.
And you're dressed in a costume.
You know, I'm dressed in a costume. Yeah, someone who's pretending to know how to play Flames of War. So, yes. What's this thing? Anyway, anyway, we have people. Well, actually, hopefully this is going to be a decent sized show. But I have plenty of a handful of people that was from Masters, and we're going to talk about the event and what happened and. Kind of give an insight of some of the thinking that was going on. But before we do that, we do this every time, is we discuss upcoming events. And I'll tell you what, I have a chock full of things coming up.
Should we mention what sang the song, though?
Oh, yeah, actually, let's go back.
It's actually a bass that covered the song, obviously. It's really kind of impressive with his low notes, so I thought it was kind of cool. His name is Jeff Castellucci, and he is a member of a group called Voice Play, which is a group that does acapella singing, acapella stuff.
Acapella stuff.
So
all right.
They seem to be pretty good, and he actually was very impressive bass, so...
Well, you got pretty darn low.
Oh, yeah. He's like scraping the bottom of the barrel there.
I know. All right. Let's talk about these events.
Talk about testosterone. Yeah.
You know, I was so worried. What's testosterone? Talk about, show off. Matter of fact, I was so worried about making sure I had the events. I forgot to take the top ones off. But let's go. So the next ones I have here is November 11th. And the which is basically Historicon Fallen. I guess basically it was really Fallen, but Historicon took place of it. It's in Valley Forge, PA, which is near King of Prussia Mall. So they're doing a Team Yankee 110, 3 rounds. And then on the 12th and the 13th, they are doing the Late War 100 Nationals, 6 rounds. So that'd be that Friday and Saturday. Also on actually, I think it's on Sunday, Millennium Con. I keep getting conflicts, but check. If you're going to Millennium Con, double check. It is a Toys for Tots collection. They're doing a late war escalation, 60, 80, 100. Then also on the 13th, D6 Games in Rochester, Minnesota. They're doing a Team Yankee. event on November 21st. Critical Hit Games in St. Peters, Florida.
St. Petersburg.
St. Petersburg, yeah, St. Petersburg. They're
Just
doing
like the one in Russia.
like the one in Russia. Yeah, yeah, doing a late war 105, and then on November 27th, Game Table Adventures in Newark, Ohio. They're doing a late war 85, 3 rounds. That's also a Toys for Tot event. And then the guys in Canada wanted to make sure I got this in. They're doing a 2-day event, but they didn't tell me how many rounds, so I was guessing 5. It could be 6, but it's an Lumsden, Saskatchewan. At least I know how to say Saskatchewan. I mean, the name of the city, I forget. I'm Lumsden. Now, of course, all my guests are muted. They're probably yelling at their mics. It's this! It's naming this!
Maybe they'll tell you when they come back.
Yeah, I know. It goes, it's Lumsden. Oh, okay. Anyway, they're doing a late war 105, multiple rounds. And they did make a interesting looking poster for it, and I might as well show it since they sent it to me. Play on all fronts, and it's Flames of War regionals, and they, of course, for some reason they have the number backwards. It's usually the month first.
Well, they just do that in other countries.
I know, not that big. I don't know. I'm not that big of a moron. Anyway, so then then December 4th, Able Company Toys for Tots event. It's Late War 77. It's Bulge theme. Red versus blue. I'm getting next. Almost done with the specialized rules. Ran it past some people to get some input, and I got their input. So I'll finish that out. Also on December 4th, Skoda Fest in South Carolina. They're doing a mid-war 105, 3 rounds. Newly added, December 11th, Retro Station, Huntsville, Alabama. They're also doing Toys for Tots collection. Late War, 120. They went big points. That's also Toys for Tots. Tabletop Game and Hobbies in Overland, Kansas. They're also doing a Late War 105. So, I think that's the second one they're doing. So, if you're out that way, go ahead and support. Okay, so now Las Vegas. So, the Team Yankee, which is going to be on the 28th, they already announced it. So there's out there. So, Carl's asking, so what are the announced points? Well, I'm working on that. That's what's underneath the trick or treat there. So Las Vegas, so they already posted their Team Yankee, but for Las Vegas, for the Nationals, we're gonna pull away the curtain here. I actually gotta go this way. And boom. Oh, no, not too far. Anyway, it's Late War, 110, 6 rounds. So it's 110 Late War, 6 rounds. And that's going to be for the Las Vegas Open. So that's open. So registration's there. That might fill that. There's a good chance that'll fill up quickly. So if you're going to go, don't procrastinate. Then Adepticon, which is in March, that also is going to have Team Yankee and Flames of War. Now, I think anyway, don't ask me. I'm just the one posting these. So on the 25th, Team Yankee is going to be 74 points and four rounds, 4 short rounds. And and it's on the big nationals is going to be mid-war, 105 6 rounds. Yeah, actually, Christian here, who's TOing the event. Yep, we just have 24 tables booked for. So I mean that's 48 players. So they're capping out at 48. And I bet tables will be hard to get, Christian, if you needed to go up. So that's so they're capped out at 48 guys. Adepticon's probably going to have a little bit more room, but also I want to go back to Historicon. If you're going, let them know. I when I talked to them, they already had only 15 people signed up so far, and I know that I was not on the list, or Chris Jackson, who I also know is going, was not on the list. So that's 15, 16, 17 so far. So anyway, if you're going to go, let them know. So we start throwing people out there. Okay. All right. Anyway, so that is the that's the big news there. The big reveal. Actually kind of removing that stuff away is kind of like a sunrise. All of a sudden there's the sun. So, by the way, if you notice something, Historicon is 100, late war 100. Las Vegas is 110. Mid-war is 105. Yeah. By the way, I don't have here yet because they're not announced, but next week I'll let you know what the Canadian and the Southern Nationals points are going to be once they find a place to hold them. Okay, anyway, so I think most of the reason why we're here is the Masters. There's a nice group of looking fellows there. It was the 10th anniversary of Masters, and Keith Gilmore came out on top. If you look closely at the plaque, we actually have a post-it over the American and wrote Italian because unfortunately no one played Americans. So okay. Oh, by the way, Christian wanted to know LVO is 5 rounds. Okay, I'll change that in my thing. So LVO is 5 rounds. They were not able to change the schedule. Okay, that's fine. Let's bring in our guest to talk about. Oh, by the way, not pictured here was Michael Cron and James Best Sr. I guess maybe he was out, not there. But anyway, let me bring in the group here. I'll introduce them. First of all, there's William Brown.
Hi, everybody.
John Meyer.
Hello.
Chris Fretz.
Hello.
Tom Burgess.
Hey, howdy, folks.
Chris Jackson. Oh, I bet you're eating pizza. There's Igor. Hi, Igor.
Hey, it's me.
And last, Keith. Hello, Keith.
Hey.
Hey. First of all, everyone.
While we were talking. So.
Oh, you registered already? Look at that. Like.
Yeah, just not.
Okay. So I'm like a little distracted in the comments. I'm trying to figure out what did. I'll get back to it. But anyway, gentlemen, first of all, thank you for coming. And we're going to talk about the Masters. Now, the thing is, I asked the guys if we could keep I'm sure we could talk about all 6 of our battles, but that would just, we'll go on forever, and it'd be like, telling dungeon stories. So what I did is I asked the guys a couple things, which is, why did you pick the list you did, and why was there anything new that you never used before? What worked? What didn't work? And then because it's Halloween, I said at the end we're gonna, each one's gonna tell their scary story at the tournament. Okay. So I'm just going to go in the order of the screen. I guess Jackson's having some issues at the pizza parlor. William?
Yeah.
We'll start with you.
Yeah, for sure. So I guess when it came to picking lists for this event, there was kind of two minds about the different lists that I put together. So for anybody that was familiar with the format, we had to make 6 different lists that all had to be different from each other from some degree. As a general rule, I made probably about 2 or 3 lists that I would consider bringing to just like a tournament at that points level. And then the other 3 were more like, oh, I kind of want to make like a list that like fits some sort of description. So like one example of that is like, it's 84 points. I want to cram a tiger into an 84 points list and show up with that. Even though that wouldn't be what I would consider to be like my highly super tuned list, right? And then everything that I put together kind of had all the tools, right? So you have to have some recon, you have to have some infantry, you have to have some artillery if you can fit it in. So the basic boxes are checked, and then I tried to stay away from picking too many like armored car lists, just because I didn't want to be playing that all weekend, and mixed in a few fun things beyond that. As far as anything new, I don't think there's anything I played that was completely new to me, but there was a number of things that I played that I hadn't played in a while. So 2 examples of that are, one, I used Diana's in at least 2 of my lists, which is not usually something that I bring at a mid-war tournament. And the other one was I played the 90th Light infantry formation, which I haven't played probably in like 3 years. It might have been Gen Con like 3 years ago or something like that since I've played that. So it was a good excuse to touch some things that like I hadn't played with in a while. And that was good. So as far as things that worked and didn't work, I don't know as I had anything that catastrophically like didn't work. Maybe the best example of that is like you take a tiger and it's a lot of points and it's usually not going to make up its points in like a 6-turn game. It kind of just is a commanding presence on the table. I will say I was consistently impressed I played a lot of those like Africa rifle lists with the smaller infantry platoons, and those can hang on a lot longer than you think they can, even though they're like 5 or 6 stands of infantry. So there were some instances there that they really kind of pulled their weight a lot more than I kind of expected them to. Okay, so a scary story. I think John probably is the one who knows the most about this, because there I am, I suppose on the Eastern Front, about to play against John Meyer, and he hands me a list that has 8 Borg wards in it, and I've never played against Borg wards, so I'm vaguely familiar with them. And I know that they're, a little scary, but, they're these little tiny tanks that come in on the board, and they're commanded by, some fairly expensive Stug tanks. And anyway, I guess long story short, they come in from reserve on like turn 2 or 3 or something like that. And John does a really good job about keeping me from shooting at them, to the point where in one turn he assaulted me with 6 of them and blew away about half my army in a single turn. So they roll in, they hit with AT4 with an auto firepower, and just annihilated like 3 half-track platoons and like 2 infantry platoons and everything, because I was all bunched up on the objective. And I just couldn't stop them. And so just like that, half my army gets removed from the table. So now those things I am properly scared of. and I will not let that happen. So.
Well, you guys were like diagonal for me, and I was telling John, I said, hey, because he goes, I'm going to be using these things, and I said, okay, when you do, go around, go boom, every time you use them, and he turned around and went boom,
Yeah,
and I'm like, all right,
yeah, they drop a big template and auto hit everything underneath. They ignore bales, so as long as you can scoot them around and not get shot at by something that's going to kill them. And even when you kill them, there's a chance they explode. So there's some kind of expensive prerequisites to get them on the table, but I was fairly impressed by the amount of damage they were able to do in a single turn. So that was kind of a very harrowing experience. I don't know as I've been blown out that hard in this case, pretty literally, in a game in a long time. So.
all right. Now for your first match, did you have a good time?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I played against Andrew Hobson, and that was a great team. We played Encirclement, which is one of the missions on the new set of missions. So there's some challenges that got playing a scenario that I hadn't played before, but it was fun. Yeah, it was good.
Okay, good. Actually, then oh yeah, here you go.
He's got the list. He's got this stuff.
Oh yeah, I just got the score sheets. It's
Score
all.
sheets, yeah.
Yeah, I'm supposed to do something with them to get them into the system when I get my act together here. All right. What's how about cool? By the way, I think those Bogward things coming at you, that is pretty scary. So yeah, especially like 8 of them or something.
Yeah. When they all hit at one time, it's like, oh,
Yeah.
Okay.
John Meyer, how about you?
Well, for the list, I pretty much went with what I had because I didn't have enough British, I didn't have enough Americans, and I didn't have enough Russians built or painted. So I went with the Germans because the least amount of work I had to do outside of my job. But I didn't have a lot of armored cars, so that limited me to only having one list with armored cars. And the rest I went with infantry with a mixture of armored rifles or the armored Panzer Grenadiers and the Africa infantry. And the Africa infantry did a lot better than I thought they would have, which kind of surprised me. But I did have 2 lists with 8 of those Bogward carriers, and I was able to use one to great effect. I do think they are a one-trick pony. Once an opponent sees what they do, they respect them just a little bit more.
Okay.
But yeah,
well, did you use the second list?
No, I was never able to. But I at least got one of them to work. So.
Okay.
And then my scary moment would be when I ambushed some martyrs that try to shoot some T-34s, and needing 2s to hit, and I only rolled 3 hits.
Ooh, ouch. Yeah. What round was that?
I believe that was my second round, or third.
Oh, okay. Against Ian.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I just quickly found your thingy here. Okay.
I
all
thought
right.
your scary moment, John, might have been when your army tray hit the floor.
Oh yeah. Well, that was an in-game moment.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Right. Because your tray hit the floor. Unfortunately, did everything survive?
Yeah, everything survived. I only had 1 bent barrel, which I was able to fix, and then just a couple tracks popped off, which I was able to recluse. So nothing too permanently damaged.
Okay. Well, that's good. So did you find that those Bogwarts worked, or you just think there's a one-trick pony?
I think for the most part, there's certain lists they work against. But if you have enough defensive fire, or if you have enough stuff to shoot at them before they even get there, then they usually don't make back their points, especially with the units you had to pay for to even get them in the first place. And I have more than one round of smoke, that helps too. But usually it's I only get like one turn to use them, and if they don't work, then I'm kind of out of luck there, because that's my entire strategy right there in one unit.
All right. Igor,
Hey.
welcome.
Hey, it's me. It's Igor. Hello.
Hey, how was your trip back?
It was a nightmare. Thanks for asking.
Yeah, okay. I gathered that from when you texted me.
Yeah, to tell my scary story first.
Okay.
Yeah, I was supposed to leave on Monday morning at 6:30 in the morning so that I would get back here to California at 9:30, and I woke up from a dream that I had turned off my alarm and overslept, to find that I had turned off my alarm and overslept.
Ooh.
But that didn't matter, because my flight was delayed, and so I missed my connection to get here on time to have work. And then from that point, it just kept getting worse and worse and worse. And I won't go into all the details, but essentially, I got back to my house after a 2-hour bus ride from Palm Springs, about 12 and a half hours after I was supposed to arrive.
So you flew into a different airport.
Yeah.
To take a bus to another airport.
Yes.
Nice.
Honestly, the best part about that is the airport that I was supposed to go to is like 10 minutes from my house, and the bus driver got lost between the freeway and the airport, and he was driving towards my house.
You're
I want to go to the front and be like, whoa, just stop here. It's right there. I'll get out. It's fine. Just keep my bags. I don't care.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that happened.
Okay.
So should I talk about lists now, or do you want me to just go?
That was the scary story.
So lists, yeah?
Yeah.
Lists. So the thing about mid-war is it's the time of scout cars and L640s. And so I figured the way you beat a horde of L640s is to have your own horde or to have Valentines. And so, or best both. So my plan was to make 3 tank lists, 2 with Valentines so I could deal with L640s, and then have 2 infantry lists, and then 1 list that was just stupid that I could run for fun. And so it worked out relatively well. When I got matched up against Michael Cron and his bajillion L640s, the Valentines did their job. So that worked out pretty well. But then, the other time I used one of my tank lists that you were there for, Joe, it was another nightmare that I think back to about 45 different shots on 2s or 3s that I couldn't make to kill 7 tanks. But otherwise, it was great. Everything went great. It was great.
I rolled my butt off on the saves. Yeah, that was that. All right. By the way, Igor, I played.
Your dice never cooperate.
No, they never cooperate. This time they were like, well, hey, you know what? We're going to start rolling really high now. Yeah, what happened was 2 tank lists, attack, contact. I ended up I rolled a 1, Igor rolled a 2, and so he attacked me. This is one contact is you'd never want to be the defender, especially in just basically I had infantry on one objective, and I had the L60s on the other, and the Valentines were in the middle going, which way is he going to go? And he's got really fast tanks, so just summing up for. And so I'm like, oh, this is over with. But somehow you whittled me down to eventually I got to 2 tanks, which was just enough for my Valentines to show up. And then yeah, anyway, I'm thoroughly surprised.
Yeah, I mean, I had what was it, like 15 Crusaders and like 3 other random tanks on the objective for like 3 turns, just like, and we could not kill 7 tanks for the first 2 turns and then 3 more the next turn. So it's like,
Yeah. I saved my Tukas off.
it's fine. I burned those dice in a ritual festival last night, and it's all fine. Have I mentioned that I play Team Yankee as well? Far superior game.
Okay. Yeah. Now is the I know you had to borrow. Well, we had this conversation. I know you had to borrow a lot of your tanks. So is that those lists something you normally don't play?
Well, so what I normally play in mid-war was the list that I used up the first time, which is 3 formations, so infantry, scout cars, and scouted honeys. But in order to meet the requirements of having the list be all different, I needed to have different flavors of that list. So in the end, I needed to borrow essentially every Valentine that I could find. And so Christian Sorensen, who is watching, I think, was kind enough to lend me most of his mid-war tanks. But even with every Valentine he owned, I still had to build 6 more before I got there. So it was a lot.
Yeah, why don't you do a little shout out to Christian?
Oh, yeah, I should mention him. Christian Sorensen, the TO for LVO this year, for the Flames of War of LVO. LVO's Flames of War. Yes, he's TOing that. So thanks for your tanks. I only broke 2 of them.
Okay. I had a little chat with a text message with Kristen this afternoon. So yes, about because wanted to make sure we're all on the same pages before I announced what the points were. Because I didn't want to. I want to make sure everyone was on the same page. So, but yeah.
I'm glad that we have a points number for LVO now, because the points number that we used to have, I couldn't share on this broadcast. So much easier now that we have a number.
But boy, did you share with me in private a lot. and sometimes I wasn't even asking.
Yeah, it's true. Nobody at home understands that, but let's just say that it is not appropriate.
No.
I'm like, it's a certain very offensive phrase, and that's the number of points you get.
Yeah, I'm like, is that physically possible? Anyway,
we'll find out.
Yeah. Oh, very good. Were you good? The list that the units you brought, was there anything new that you never used before?
Well, honestly, believe it or not, the Valentines I hadn't used. So the Valentine list was something that I put together with Kevin Morris, who I think we know. So Kevin and I had kind of theory crafted out this Valentine list, and we were going to take it to Adepticon in March of 2019. And then that didn't happen. So I'd never actually got to play it. So Masters was the first time I played Valentines, and I don't hate them.
Yeah. Actually, the Soviet Valentines were pretty neat too. So, all right, excellent. Anyway, I'm glad you made it home and all together.
Yeah, me too. I might take a little nap a little bit later. So just.
I know it's still early out there in the West Coast. Yeah. Tom. Hey, Tom.
Hey.
Hey. So your list. Go ahead. Why'd you pick what you did, and what worked and what didn't?
Well, unfortunately, not much work. I didn't put a whole lot of thought into it. I probably should have run, and Ed kept saying, "Oh, you got to run your British. You got to run your British." And I'm like, I hate playing my British against East Front stuff. So I guess the bottom line up front is I went loaded for bears with KVs and Churchills, thinking I'd face those. So I had the Ferdinands and a lot of heavy AT, and then subsequently never faced any, nor Tigers nor other Ferdinands. So totally didn't need those things. And I just was trying to get a group. I mean, it was a very interesting challenge to try to come up with 6 different lists that would meet all those requirements. I think I overdid it because I had 4 individual separate things in every list. I could probably have done 2 different things in every list and then still had 4 different degrees of separation. So I could have probably not made it as hard for myself as I did, but I basically just ran 4 infantry lists that were grenadiers, panzer grenadiers, armored panzer grenadiers, and Fallschirmjägers, with not a whole lot of variation other than the names of their platoons and components. And then and they typically would have Ferdinands and or Modders and support. And then I had 2 tank lists because I tried to emulate Keith Gilmore there. It's like I've always had a hard time playing against the German Panzer III list with my Crusaders, and so I thought, and I had a ton, 20 models of Panzers to assemble and paint. Like, this would be good motivation to get those done. So and I never really had played Panzer IIIs. I played against them a lot, but first time I'd run them, and so basically the list didn't do well. I think I only won 2 games. I know I played 2 bridgeheads. I won one of those. 2 scouts out. Won one of those. And the wins were just barely wins. By the way, there was no really dominance. It was just scraping to hang on in most cases. And in some cases, I got trounced pretty quick. Those hordes that Igor and William and John have been talking about, I wasn't really set up to go against those. So in the first game, I guess was pretty. I mean, it wasn't scary. It's just the way it played out. But I was playing Austin, and he had his entire honey squadron and scouts out coming down on my left, with that setup. And to face that, I had a single unit of 3 Panzers. Figured, they're gone to ground in the woods. They'll be able to hang on for a bit. Nope. As he was approaching, his single shots did enough to cause. It was really just like the last platoon hit. But basically, I ended up with 2 bales. And all of his stuff was missing before that. And he has no sixes. And he had a lot of tanks. But like the last platoon just connected, achieved 2 bales. And in my turn, so this is my first turn because he went first, I failed to remount the 2 Panzers. And then I rolled a 2 on the subsequent last stand. And so I had my entire left flank leave the board on turn 1 with no chance to do anything. No chance to buy time for reserves to come in, which, Ferdinand would have popped in right there. And, there was no way that ejector would have he had nothing that could handle the Ferdinand should it ever get on the board. But the way to handle that is win before the Ferdinand gets on the board. so that would be a lot of time to read books and wander around for the first round. And so that was, I guess, the scariest part. I never really did face a huge the honeys. I never faced the L6s or huge amounts of armored cars, and so I was really more prepared for heavier tanks and just never ended up fighting them, and so did relatively poorly. Still had a lot of fun. New element that I ran was I ran Dianas for the first time, and I decided they're absolutely horrible. I just did not like them at all. And I was just having bad luck with them, other bad vibes. But those damn things that 0 armor and no machine guns, and they're just so less useful than a martyr. Can't tangle with armored cars. They can't hold their own against even riflemen sometimes. And just and they can only ever get 3 in a platoon. So the AT was fine, the firepower is fine, and they're even slower than a martyr. So those things are really tough to get any use out of. And I don't think they achieved anything. And I don't think any of the Ferdinands ever really destroyed but a tank or 2 and nothing significant like a big KV or a Churchill or anything like that. So rough go. I guess my advice to people is I kind of blew off the meta. I just I'm just going to put together this force and run it. It should be okay. I'll probably win some, lose some. And I was lucky to come out with 2 wins, to tell you the truth. That was they weren't any foregone conclusions. So I'll be much more deliberate in the future attempts here if I get a future invite on. I'm paying attention to what people are saying and trying to follow through. That was pretty much it for me.
All right, very good. Well, the interesting, you thought that there was going to be a lot of heavy tanks, and then and it turned out there's a lot of little stuff, or medium tanks or light tanks. There's a crap load of scout cars.
Yeah.
There was a lot of boxes that were sold or way before this tournament.
I think the biggest tank I came across was an M3 Lee. I think that was as big as it got. So front armor, 6 as much as I faced.
Yeah. Well, and Preston joined. Hey, Preston. Hey, we're just
How's it
going
going,
through and chit-chatting with everybody about them. Well, I'll get to you. We just got done with Tom here, and we're about to go to Chris. And so, Chris, why don't first of all, I'm going to be honest. I thought you were going to pick Americans. Just
a lot
I
of
was
people
hedging
thought,
that way.
a
I'm
lot
thinking,
of
he's
people
gonna
thought I
pick
was going to pick
Americans.
Americans. But in looking at the Americans, I just couldn't. I couldn't make it work across 6 lists. And at that point level, I looked at armored rifles. I wanted to make them work, but as people have said, I just didn't feel like it would stand up to masses of tanks. Because the armored rifles, while they're good, the bazookas are great for shooting, but in an assault, they just hit on 6s and are just not as effective in doing anything. As well as the armored rifle platoons are expensive. So once you put in 2 armored rifle platoons and some assault guns and some mortars. I think I was looking at it. I could have 4 long barrel Lees and recon and maybe some P40s, and that's about it. And just thinking about some of the lists, I played both Igor and John, who are on this broadcast, and against Igor's list, he had I don't know how many Crusaders, and
somewhere between 40 and 1 million.
Yeah, I think it seemed like about 1 million. And if I just had 4 long barrel Lees to protect the infantry, there was just no way that was going to work. So I pretty quickly switched over to Soviets. I had started not new for Masters, but recently I had put together an Su-76 company and had played that at a tournament right before this, and felt that put that together. I had an Su-76 company with an armored car company with T-70s was one of my lists, and I found the other list, which is actually what I played Igor with, instead of the T-70s, had 6 Valentines, one of them a 6-pounder, and I think both of those lists were far better dealing with the masses, because the one one game that scared me a little bit was actually playing Michael Cron and his Italian L640 horde, because he for his list again in my game, and we were playing Dust Up. He chose his list that had 2 L640 formations, plus some Fallschirmjägers, plus an 88. And I thought, well, I can, he doesn't have, and Semaventis. And I thought, well, I can hold my objective with 1 T-34 and send my other T-34s and my Hero SMGs off at the objective, and went there, got to it, got contesting it. My Hero SMGs did not unpin for like 4 turns, so they couldn't launch an assault. And my T-34s firing at his little L640s, I can't tell you how many 6s he rolled when I hit them for his armor saves. And then, of course, I didn't get either I didn't get my firepower, or I did get it, but then with the Italians, he just jumped right back in, and it was like the boxing clown. You knock him down, and keeps coming back up again. It was just like 30 of those standing there on the objective trying to destroy them, and then at the same time he got his Semaventis on. They went for the objective, and of course his L640s made a wonderful physical blocking force, the other 30 that were not holding the objective, to keep me from getting any support over there. And sure enough, the Semaventis firing, all I need to do is roll 1-1 and I lose the game, and I roll that 1. So that was my scary game, or nightmare game, maybe. The only new teams I ran, I did put together a platoon or a unit company of T60s, which I had never run because I was running an early T34, and as opposed to the T70s, the T60s are your choice in that. And I wanted, again, a small a light armored unit to deal with, to have a matchup for armored cars and things like that. And I while they were fun to paint and they're certainly cute little tanks, the 5 up gun and the 2 armor just didn't really allow me to do much with them. So I'm not sure I will run them again. I did run the early T34s as opposed to the regular T34s in my formation, just for the points, and that's part of the reason for point saving, to be able to get a few more other things into that list. Because that list was very small, my T34 list. And that running against the Italian horde was difficult to manage, just because had so few hulls putting fire out there.
Right. How'd your BA-10s do? Just asking out professional curiosity.
I find they always do well. I actually ran the full formation, and then in some lists, I had the support unit as well. So I had 13 in some lists. And I find they do a lot. I find that that trained 4-up allows them to blitz, not completely reliably, but enough that you can get that 4-inch move and then get those 2 shots with the AT-7 4-up gun. And certainly as little machine gun boxes, the fact that they have 4 machine guns compared to most tanks that only have 3, they can also put a whole lot of fire out there. Movement sucks, but you overcome that as much as you can. But I still consider them an important part of any Soviet mid-war list for me.
Okay. Let's go to Preston. Preston, the list that you picked. Here it is. You also did Soviets. Why'd you choose Soviets?
Well, the reason I chose Soviets is because I've been playing Soviets all year. Every year I sit down and I think, what nationality am I going to play this year? This past year was Soviets due to the Bagration book being released. So I've been prepping all year for Soviet late war, Soviet late war, Soviet late war, and then the Masters tournament came out and it was mid-war. And originally I thought mid-war. I don't know if I've ever really played Soviets too much in mid-war, but I played a lot of Italians. So I was going to play Italians, but my friend told me, he goes, you can't bring Italians to Masters. And I said, why is that? He said, because you got best Soviet player for the year. He goes, you're going to show up to Masters without Soviets? And I said, you know what, you're right. So I decided
was that Johnson?
That was Johnson.
Oh, okay.
Yep. He said, you can't go to Masters without playing Soviets. So I decided, all right, I'll play Soviets. And then sitting down, the Soviets have a lot more options as far as formations than the Italians. And a lot of formation, with the format being 4 levels of degree of difference from every other list, I felt that Soviets were going to be my best chance of doing that a lot easier. Come to find out, I didn't do so well, but I think that was more of me rather than the Soviets.
Okay. Well, so you've been playing Soviets. Well, first of all, I come to find out that mid-war is completely Soviets are different than late war. What did you find different? Was anything that you used before? Anything new?
So I actually used a lot of new units. So I brought Katyushas. I had never used those before. I brought the Reconnaissance Company. I had never played that before, and I don't think I'd ever played Valentine's before. So those were 3 new units to me, as well as actually I'd never played Soviet Lees, so that was brand new as well. And Soviet, basically every single one of my lists had something new that I'd never played before, and trying to learn it on the fly, at the highest level of competition probably wasn't the best idea. I probably should have tested a little bit before, but I'm a really lazy painter, and I had to spend all my free time before the tournament painting my army to make sure it was ready. So, what I found out was being hit on a 2-up compared to a 3-up in late war makes a huge difference. Being green rather than trained makes a huge difference. So the only list that I did really well with, I think, was my reconnaissance company, just because they're confident trained. And that was the list that I was actually able to win a game with. And come to find out that that's probably the best infantry unit in mid-war for Soviets, just in my opinion. I picked the Lees round 1 against Michael Cron's Italian swarm. Thought that they would handle the L640s the best, being that they have play to fire 2 no matter what. I just misdeployed. If I deployed a little bit better and hadn't had to play contact, probably could have been a closer game. But I think my biggest takeaway from this tournament was just I didn't have enough time to get everything painted as well as test, and I think not testing was my biggest downfall in this tournament.
Well, okay, so yeah, you took Lee's against the oh wow, okay, yeah, I probably didn't go too well.
I think the issue was I put the 2 units of Katyushas on the board to begin the game, just to try to take care of his Lancias, because I played enough Italians to know that you can't let Lancias roam freely.
Right.
But I probably should have ignored them and focused more on his L640s and put my unit of infantry on the board rather than the 2nd platoon of Katyushas. And then there was a game that the other thing that threw me for a loop was the extended battle missions. I'd always use the more missions, so I didn't sit down and research that either. It was just, this entire tournament was just a lack of prep on my part. But what I came to find out was everyone at the Masters was pretty forgiving of me for not knowing the rules or my stats down pat. Just seeing that in the highest level of competition was pretty nice. And going forward, I think I'm definitely gonna test a little bit more, especially with mid-war. I think mid-war has become the overlooked era right now, just with all these new late war releases. So I think going forward, I'm definitely going to make sure that I play mid-war and late war throughout the year.
Yeah, with Adepticon's mid-war, and I believe I'll have to look at it, but yeah, there's going to be some other mid-war stuff, but Adepticon's definitely mid-war. So you got your late war Historicon coming. You own a Historicon?
I unfortunately can't make it to Historicon.
Okay.
It was either I take off for Masters from work or I take off for Historicon, and Masters won out.
All right. But hey, there's always LVO.
I do plan on going to LVO.
Yeah, there you go. That's late war. And for those people who came in later, I'll recap the points here in the interview. Yeah. Also, all right. Well, did you have a good time?
I had a great time. It was a lot of fun building the list. I went when I got the format of 4 degrees of difference from every other list. I took it a little too seriously, and rather than just looking at it being like, oh, I can make small little changes and it counts, I went to another plane of existence and made every list completely different from every other list.
Oh.
But then once I got there, meeting everyone, it was an experience, and I had a lot of fun playing. 6 rounds over 2 days. I was exhausted afterwards. I didn't think it would be as exhausting as it was, but it was probably the most fun I've had playing this game.
Okay. Well, at least you have at least you had a good time. I mean, that's the important thing, and then learning experience. So speaking of learning experience, I'll go over mine. Okay. Well, first of all,
As a lead in to the next guy.
Yeah, well, we'll get there. Yeah, just saving it for last. Why did I pick my list? Actually, I was going to do German armored cars, and I thought, blah. Then I was looking at my painting table about what I needed painted, and I had a whole bunch of Soviets assembled, but not painted. So I'm like, oh, you know what? It's a motivation to do Soviets. So I did Soviets. Pretty much everything was newish. I played a lead list before, and I played a SU-79, 76 list before. But the T-70s were new. The KVs were new. The Churchills were new. The Hero Rifle, which I realized there's a big difference between Hero Mortar and Hero Rifle. And I was like, wow, really? These guys stink. Anyway, and the thing was, I was going to do an SU-76 list, but I didn't feel like I could get the rest of it painted, because the last time I played it, I borrowed the pieces, so I didn't think I can get them painted. So I put that together. Now, as God is my witness, I did not think I would do anything with it, and I wasn't planning to do anything with them, and I would have been tickled pink with 3 wins. My game, I first played Tyson, and I had an opportunity to win because it was presented, and Tyson didn't see it, and I took it, and I won. My game with Michael was, I knew that someone was going to bring a crap load, so I had one list ready for that, and that was I put some KVs and T-34s against Michael's list, and of course he had and then I got him into reserves, and I was attacking, was counterattack. I won the die roll. That put him in a bad spot. I took out, he had an 88, took it out, boom. And then that was pretty much game, because I just waddled on up. And, what are those things going to do? So I was pretty good at waddling. And then just, sat there and, blew up everything around me. And then that was that. So that, that was just once again, luck. I got the right mission. I got the die roll. Then my game, then Jackson, no luck. That sucked. And then, then Igor. Once again, I got lucky with the fact that I got lucky with the T-70s. Other than that would have been your game. And he eventually got him, but the cavalry was there. Oh, there's nothing like a Valentine tank rush for a cavalry. They're slow moving tanks. Yeah, we'll be right there. Hold on, we're coming. And I'm like, oh, move. And then my game with Austin was also lucky, because the first time I can get reserves, I rolled reserves. He threw down that card that makes you re-roll the reserves, and by God, I threw a 5. He put down the card. I threw another 5. I'm like, all right, here comes the KVs. Waddle. And then pretty much that locked down the objective. Got lucky once again. And then I played my last game and didn't get so lucky. Also played like an idiot too, but that's beside the point. And so the thing is, I got what I ended up doing is I actually got my stuff painted, so it was a good motivation. So I was pretty happy with that. So my scary thing was, well, hold on. Scary thing was that the shirts weren't going to show up on time. they ended up there Friday. Then my other scary moment. I had plenty of them. It's just, just making sure that the trains ran on time, and everything else, and everyone made it. Everyone was good. We got the dinner. I think the dinner went off fine. So those are the things I was thinking about. So I'm glad most of that stuff went off pretty good. So anyway,
So the shirts were your big scare.
well, the thing is that why you coming there to get hey, if I didn't win, at least I got the shirt, right? So, okay. By the way, a little public service announcement for one individual. That's Charlie Clay. Charlie, they're making your shirts still. They put the rush order through to get the new ones because it's a brand new company. They did the embroidering here, and so now they're embroidering one for the Team Yankee World War III one, and have it shipped out to you. So I see Mr. Clay's here. We owe him a shirt. But anyway, so there's that. So, which is last but not least, Keith Gilmore. Hello, Keith.
Hey, Joe.
Hey.
You've been waiting there patiently.
So, I think I know why you chose your list, but why did you chose your list?
Well, I started out, as anybody that knows me knows that mid-war, I really like my Panzer IIIs. And so I built two Panzer III lists. I figured I couldn't get much more different than that. And so then I had to go and find something else. I had a German infantry company painted, so perfect. I'll throw those out there. I made two lists with those that I thought would look okay. And then I looked at what I thought everybody else was going to bring. And I thought that there'd be a lot of armored cars. And so with armored car lists, I knew my Panzer IIIs could handle them. But then I figured what better way to beat an armored car list than bring some better armored cars. And so I made German light armored car lists with mortars, and then I threw in some Axis Allied tanks, because basically a T-38 or a T-26 for Finns, those are basically just armored cars that are better. They've got better guns, they move better, or they've got better armor. So that was kind of my thinking there. It was two lists that I'd played before and knew I could do really well with in the Panzer IIIs. I don't think I've ever played the Recon Company, which I based my infantry lists on before, and I'd never played with the Hungarian T-38s or the Finn tank lists. So, there was a whole lot of new stuff in there. And honestly, as I was packing my army case to take it down there, I thought, I've got two really good lists, and the others are just going to be good fun. I'm just going to go and enjoy it, and probably not do too well with those other four lists. So it was kind of a pleasant surprise how they behaved on the table, or how I was able to make them work.
Well, what was your scary moment?
So probably my scariest moment in the game, it was in the second round against James Best Jr. So it's counterattack, and I'm attacking, and I send a couple of units off, through the woods. It's nice and dark over there. There's nobody around. Turn one. Okay, we think there's some reserves around here somewhere. Nothing comes in. So we sneak over a little closer to the objective with some tanks and some infantry. Turn two. Well, we hear those guys might be getting closer, but there's nobody here yet. And so we get over to the objective and we stand around it. We're not dug in yet because we didn't have that much time. The tanks turn around and face the corner where the reserves might be coming in. And turn three, James picks up his 3 dice and rolls 3 5s. And onto the board comes tumbling eight Su-76s and a unit of recon infantry with 2 flamethrowers. Right, close range, right in front of my panzers and my infantry. And at that point, I thought, well, it was a great game, but it's all over now. But he came in, he killed the Panzer IIIs straight up, The infantry, he missed actually with all of his flamethrower shots. So
Wow.
that was pretty lucky. And, then I was able to come in and clean up over the next couple of turns with my martyrs and my stummels to take care of the SU-76s. So it was pretty scary for a little bit, but, I got out the other end okay.
All right. Well, did you have a good time?
Yeah, I had a good time, Joe. It's always a good time at Masters. It's a lot of players I don't get to see very much. We're a little bit isolated here in Minnesota. We're not in the hotbed of tournament activity that you guys have in the Indiana, Ohio, Kentucky triangle there. So I see a lot of the players there. Once or twice a year. Masters is one of those, and it's always great to see those guys and play some games against them. When you're going to Masters, you're going to be playing at the top level with the top players, and that challenge is a lot of fun. If you go to a normal tournament, any other place, you can bring a list that's a little more fun. You can make a mistake or two and still pick up a win. But at Masters, if you make a mistake, you're going to get somebody's going to pick it up and they're going to stomp all over it. So. It's very challenging. It's exhausting by the end of the weekend, but it's a lot of fun, and I really enjoy it.
Excellent.
And, this doesn't hurt either.
There you go. Yeah, it's beautiful woodworking.
It is. It's very high quality craftsmanship, Joe.
Yes. Yeah. Amazing how someone could take a bookshelf and just cut it in half and then put the edging around it and we'll go voila. Oh, they'll stain. Yeah. No. Congratulations, Keith. I'm going to see if we can actually get Chris Jackson on because I know he's struggling here. Chris, you there? Come in, Chris. Chris?
Earth to Chris.
Can you hear me?
Yes!
We can hear you.
Well, I can barely hear you. I'm sitting here with the phone stuck in my ear. I'm trying to call it up and watch it on Facebook and talk to you on the phone.
Looks like you're having connection problems.
Yeah, I mean, we have a great shot of your ceiling fan. Is that recessed?
Yeah, it is. It is. It's a lovely new house. I'm just getting used to it. I can do a little pan. There's the wall of army. There's the wall of armies. There's the other wall of armies. There's still another closet with some more stuff in it. Well, that's not going to work.
Well,
I can't watch it on the desktop and do this too. So
sure.
So where are we? What's the question?
Actually, the question is, why did you choose the list that you did? Was there anything new that you used? What worked? What didn't? And what was the scariest moment that you had? Halloween theme.
Okay. Why did I choose the list that I did? Well, I guess we should start with the list that I chose. I had 4 armored car lists with various supports. One was pure German, one was light Italian tanks, one was medium Italian tanks, and one was Finnish. And then I had a armored reconnaissance company, and last I had a Panzer III company. The reason I selected these is because I'm weak-willed and I allowed Brian coaches to talk me out of playing Americans. This was actually a good thing because I did really well with the armies I brought. The armored cars worked very well. The only time I lost was to Keith, and that was with the heavy armored or the heavy Italian or the medium Italian list. I call them heavy, but they're not really. They're barely mediums, but got a little unlucky in that one. We rolled up dogfight, and I never actually rolled for reserve, so I couldn't really complain too much about them not showing up.
Okay.
That was the only thing that didn't work well. That was my fault. I really should have chosen to be more aggressive in that one. If I'd have had, I don't know, 13 tanks on the table to add to their firepower to the thing, I think I would have done better. I had Keith to the point where two more dead armored cars and I win. But I didn't, and he beat me. And that was very important because the distance between first and second place was 5 points, which was the 7-2 fight that we had. And that was everything else we did pretty much lined up 1 for 1. I did have 6 great games. The one with Keith was rather short, but still a good game. Same thing with Copeland, which is my other loss. They're both very aggressive players, and you better have a plan to slow them down at least a little bit so that you can take care of yourself. And the other 4, I think I was in the driver's seat for most of those games. Andrew took a risk and drove all of his leads at my Stummels and whiffed and popped the ambush right next to that. And between those 8 vehicles, just took 2 turns to reduce his tank force to nothing, and then just went on an infantry hunt and gunned them down too. You had stage fright, so that got me another 8-1. My first battle against Ian Gall, he was overly aggressive, and I made him pay for it. I just got my stuff out there on him and was able to whittle him down pretty quickly so that he was combat ineffective. And then the second fight against Chris Fretz was a normal slugfest between the 2 of us. He won the last one at Gen Con, so I guess it was just my turn. Scary moment, I think, was crossing the street going to get Chick-fil-A for lunch on Saturday.
Oh,
really didn't have any in the games. It was either despair or joy. There was no fear.
okay. Are you playing Frogger?
It felt like it.
Yeah. Oh.
I forget who was talking last, but they were saying something about not having prepped for this. And I was completely the opposite. When the lists came out, I sat down, printed out every one of them, went through each of them one by one, matching them up against my list, seeing which worked, which didn't, marking it down. And I did an Excel spreadsheet which showed which ones I thought my stuff would work against and which stuff I thought I would get clobbered if I played. Just based on mismatch. I think it was Tom Burgess talking about how he had his Ferdinand show up and never had anybody to dance with. And I discovered when I was doing it that the first list A, B, and C of Keith Gilmore's were going to be a problem for everything I had. And Mike Cron's Italians were going to be a problem for 5 out of 6 of my list. Well, 4 out of 6 of my lists. So I needed to make sure, especially after the first round, when I noticed he was doing really well, to keep those lists in reserve so that if I did run into him later on, I wouldn't be throwing out something there that was just, the rock to his paper. So I never did get to throw the Panzer IIIs on the table because I needed them. I didn't know until I was sitting there across from Hobson that, not going to have to play that one. Not going to have to play all those Italian tanks.
No, yeah. And I remember
it paid off because I wound up.
Yeah, you had your book, and it was like everyone was mapped out how your list would go against another person's list, and you had it color coded.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was green, yellow, red, and it was like okay. And I'm like, oh hey, wow, he's playing British. Oh okay. That's the differences between us on that one. With that, hey Chris, one of the things with when you're having all your troubles and everything. Oh, by the way, lovely drapes, window treatments. I like that. See how that's bunched up like that? That's pretty nice. One of probably the things you missed was the points. I'm gonna pull that up here real quick for everybody. Wow, that makes everyone really tiny. For Las Vegas Open, which is in January, Team Yankee is 70 points. The Nationals is Late War 110. And by the way, it's 5 rounds. We found out it's 5 rounds. In Adepticon, the Team Yankee is going to be 74 points, 4 rounds. And it's going to be mid-war 105. So that is Adepticon. Next week I'll have Southern Nationals and the Canadian Nationals here to report. But right now there's the points. Some of you might be saying that the points are all over the place. Yeah, they're moving the points in a range. So are the dates right for LVO? I know I took a look. Yeah, January 28th, 29th. Is that right, Igor?
As far as I know, yeah, but because now you're making me doubt myself, I'll look at a calendar.
Yeah, double check, because that's kind of what I did. I thought it would be the week before, because that's Martin Luther King. Some people have no, Christian jumped in and says it is correct. So a gold star for me. Hey.
Well, the other thing to know about LVO, anybody who's gone before, is this year it's going to be at Rio. So it is off the strip at Rio, which is different than before.
Right.
So you probably, if you want to be close to it, you want to book at Rio, or else you're going to be looking at a drive every day to get there.
Yeah. Because Rio's a little off of the strip, right? Yeah, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
That's where we saw Penn and Teller.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It also has the Kiss putt mini golf.
Yeah.
It's a Kiss theme, as in not the Kiss, but the I want to rock and roll all night. That Kiss. Okay.
Putt golf. Yeah.
Yeah, putt golf, and it's all every hole is Kiss theme. Anyway. Okay. I'd say I'd say with that, gentlemen, thank you for coming on and sharing your stories, what you did. I think if I'm all right, everyone had a good time. Even getting my butt handed to me and having some pretty stressful games there. I had a good time, which is pretty good.
And I think the shirts look pretty snazzy.
Hey, maybe it's the lighting or something like that, but they're not too far off. Matter of fact, I'm really impressed with the embroidering. I think whoever did the embroidering did it better, but that's just my eye for detail. Anyway, gentlemen, if you want to hold on, because if most people know, what we have coming up next. Hold on a second. You gotta scroll here. Is Poetry Corner, and we're going to do a special poetry read. That is our resident ghost. And by the way, it was a year ago.
Hello.
Yeah, it was a year ago that we brought in Panzer Ghost first visited us on our first Halloween show, our Halloween special, and we just can't get rid of the Panzer Ghost, nor do we want to. Okay, so we're gonna do is a special reading. Panzer Ghost picked it himself, and it's going to be joined by our intern, Ray.
Really?
Really?
Really.
I'm an intern.
Yep.
Yes, you are.
Okay. Everybody, this is a live special rendition, a special poetry corner. The Raven by Edgar Allan Poe.
Wait, you don't got music for this?
No.
No? Okay. Once upon a midnight jury, while I pondered weak and weary over many a quaint and curious volume of forgotten lore, while I nodded, nearly napping, suddenly there came a tapping, as someone gently rapping at my chamber door.
"'Tis some visitor!"
I muttered.
"Tapping at my chamber door. Only this and nothing more."
Distinctly, I remember it. It was in the bleak December, and each separate dying ember wrought its ghost upon the floor. Eagerly I wished the morrow. Vainly I had sought to borrow from the book's surcease of sorrow for the lost Lenore, for the rare and radiant maiden whom the angels named Lenore, nameless here for evermore. And the silk sad uncertain rustling of each purple curtain thrilled me, filled me with fantastic terrors never felt before, so that now, to still the beating of my heart, and I stood repeating,
"'Tis some visitor entreating entrance at my chamber door. Some late visitor entreating entrance at my chamber door. This it is, and nothing more."
Presently my soul grew stronger, hesitating then no longer,
"Sir,
said I,
or madam, truly your forgiveness I implore, but the fact is I was napping, and so gently you came rapping, and so faintly you came tapping at my chamber door, that I scarce was sure I heard you."
Here I opened wide the door, darkness there, and nothing more. Deep into that darkness peering, long I stood there, wondering, fearing, doubting, dreaming dreams no mortal ever dared to dream before. But the silence was unbroken, and the stillness gave no token, and the word there spoken was the whispered word.
"Lenore!
This I whispered, and an echo murmured back the word.
Lenore!"
Merely this and nothing more. Back into the chamber, turning, all my soul within me burning. Soon again I heard a tapping somewhat louder than before.
"Surely,
Said I,
surely that is something at my window lattice. Let me see then where that is. What that is. Goodness. And this mystery explore. Let my heart be still a moment, and this mystery explore. 'Tis the wind, and nothing more."
Open here I flung the shutter, when, with many a flirt and flutter, in there stepped a stately raven of the saintly days of yore. Not the least obeisance made he, not admittance stopped, or stayed he, but, with mien of lord or lady, perched above my chamber door, perched upon a bust of Pallas just above my chamber door, perched and sat, nothing more. This ebony bird, beguiling my sad fancy into smiling, by the grave and stern decorum of the countenance it wore.
"Though thy crest be shorn and shaven, thou
I said,
art sure no craven, ghastly, grim, and ancient raven, wandering from the nightly shore. Tell me what thy lordly name is on the night's Plutonian shore."
quoth the raven.
Nevermore.
Much I marveled this ungainly fowl, to hear discourse so plainly, though its answer little meaning, little relevancy bore, for we cannot help agreeing that no living human being ever yet was blessed with seeing a bird above his chamber door, bird or beast upon the sculptured bust above his chamber door, with such name is nevermore. But the raven, sitting lonely on the placid bust, spoke only that one word, as if his soul In that one word he did outpour. Nothing farther than he muttered. Not a feather than he fluttered. Till I scarcely more than muttered.
Other friends have flown before. On the morrow he will leave me, as my hopes have flown before.
Then the bird said,
Nevermore.
startled at the stillness, broken by reply so aptly spoken,
Doubtless,
said I.
what it utters is its only stock in store, caught from some unhappy master whom unmerciful disaster followed fast and followed faster till his songs one burden bore, till the dirges of his hope that melancholy burden bore of never, never more.
But the raven, still beguiling all my fancy into smiling, straight I wheeled a cushioned seat in front of the bird, in bust and door. Then upon the velvet sinking, I betook myself to linking fancy unto fancy, thinking what this ominous bird of yore, what this grim, ungainly, ghastly, gaunt, ominous bird of yore meant in croaking.
Nevermore.
Then methought the air grew denser, perfumed from an unseen censer, swung by seraphim whose footfalls tinkled on the tufted floor.
Wretch!
I cried.
Thy God hath lent thee, by these angels he hath sent thee respite and nepenthe from my memories of Lenore. Quaff, oh quaff this kind nepenthe, and forget this lost Lenore.
Quoth the raven.
Nevermore.
Prophet,
said I.
thing of evil, prophet still, if bird or devil, whether tempter sent or whether tempest tossed thee here ashore, desolate yet all undaunted, on this desert land enchanted, on this home by horror haunted, tell me truly, I implore, is there a balm in Gilead? Tell me, I implore.
Quoth the raven.
Nevermore.
Prophet,
said I.
thing of evil, prophet still of, if bird or devil, by that heaven that bends above us, by that God we both adore, tells this soul with sorrow laden, if within the distant Aden it shall clasp a sainted maiden, whom the angels call Lenore. Clasp a rare and radiant maiden, whom the angels name Lenore.
Quoth the raven.
Nevermore.
Be that word our sign of parting, bird or fiend?
I shrieked, upstarting.
Get thee back into the tempest and the night's Plutonian shore. Leave no black plume as a token of thy lie. Thy soul has spoken. Leave my loneliness unbroken. Quit the bust above my door. Take thy beak from out my heart, and take thy form from off my door.
Quoth the raven.
Nevermore.
And the raven, never flitting, still is sitting on the pallid bust of Pallas just above my chamber door. And his eyes have all the seeming of demons that is dreaming, and the lamplight over him streaming throws his shadow on the floor, and my soul from out that shadow that lies floating on the floor shall be lifted nevermore.
Well, there you go. That was our special Halloween live read. I'm gonna bring back our guest. See who was.
Ray did a good job, didn't he? I thought so.
I thought
He's
so
a good
too.
intern.
Yeah.
Even if he gets really hard to get cut.
I thought so too.
I don't get paid enough.
Yeah. No. Good job. Everybody. Hey, by the way, if you like what we do here, like us, follow us. By the way, we have topped 500 followers on Facebook.
Ooh.
Yeah, and I know we're well over 100 on YouTube, so which is pretty good. So anyway, if you like it, follow us. Let other people know, and anyway, everyone have a hell. I like to thank our guests that have come on. It was William, John Meyer, Chris Fretz, Tom Burgess, Igor, Preston.
Are they still on there? Or are they?
Yeah, they're Chris Jackson and Keith.
I don't see them on the screen.
Well, they're still on.
Okay.
Well, I guess I just popped them back on there. There they are.
There they are.
So I hope you
Happy guys.
brought a little kind of classed up a little.
The master.
Yeah. Next week, we will be back reading from the Pamela Ferble, the poetry. The Panther Ferble, the poetry that's inside this book. We'll be back with that with our regular. and we'll be going from there. Oh yeah, and we'll also be back talking about our the missions, the new missions. I believe Chris, I think Fretz, I think you're scheduled. So yeah, and he's doing a contrast and compare between two of them, which is actually a really good idea.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, because there are some they're worthy of contrasting and comparing. Anyway, everybody, thanks. Have a healthy and happy one, and we'll be seeing you in November. You want to go ahead and play us out as everyone does waves, and
Okay, I'll give us a little bit more of the monster match.
I think you did a pretty good job. I think you guys should check them out. Sorry, I didn't.
Here you go.
Yeah, kind of where we left off.
Yep.
Whoop.
Where'd it go?
I know. That's pretty good bass.
If I reduce the screen, it does that.
Oh. All right, everyone. I'll talk to you later.